What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be going over my pre-release limited deck that I made when I went to the Marvel Superheroes pre-release this past weekend. So let's go ahead and get right into the video. Alright, everybody. Like I said in the intro, welcome back to the channel. It's been a minute since I did any Magic the Gathering stuff just because I've been moving my collection, getting rid of cards, stuff like that, making different decks. But I did get to go to the Marvel Superheroes pre-release this past weekend. I went on Friday. It is now Sunday. Also Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to any fathers who are watching this channel right now. I hope you have a good day and celebrate, get some good food. Maybe get some ice cream or a treat, something like that, just to celebrate you. But today we are going to go over my limited deck that I ended up making at the event. So it was a limited sealed draft, essentially, pre-release event. We had to make a deck with 40 cards in it, and we had 50 minutes to do so. So I ended up pulling, here's my pre-release kit. I have some lands and stuff in here, but that's not what we're really talking about in the video today. We're talking about my Gruul deck here. So I opened the pre-release kit, and I got mostly red and green cards. My promo was Wolverine, so I was very happy. Wolverine was my father's favorite Marvel character forever. Yeah, he always has been, so I was like, okay, I'm going to make a deck that can utilize Wolverine, because you know, Wolverine is very nostalgic to me because I have that relationship with my father. So it's something that I could, like, use to kind of have him there with me at the event. I know it sounds silly, but I wanted to be able to use him. So I opened mostly red and green, so it kind of worked out in my favor because Wolverine is a Gruul creature. So I made a Gruul deck. I was torn between this Gruul Stomp deck or a Blue Artifact Tony Stark deck. I did have a lot of blue cards, but I was missing some, like, artifacts and stuff like that. I had artifact cards, but it just, I didn't have any removal in, like, blue. I had maybe one or two frozen. I forgot the Captain America card that enchants the creature and they lose all abilities. Frozen something. Frozen in ice or something like that. I had a few of those, but that was pretty much it, honestly. So I ended up going with this Gruul deck, and we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you essentially all of the cards that I put in here. So like I said, it is 40 card format, so there's 40 cards in here. I went and I split a card sleeve. I split a pack of card sleeves with a friend, a buddy of mine that I work with. We chose the Orchid Dragon Shields, so that's what they're in. But the first card is Wolverine Fierce Fighter. This is the showstopper of the day. He was awesome. My opponents really wanted him dead because as soon as he ETBs, he fights someone else's creature, can kill them, and then you go to combat again, and he has haste. So he can attack twice, essentially, in one turn as soon as you play him. Super broken. Love this card. As I said before, I have a lot of nostalgic, ties to this in my father, and I sent him a picture of this when I pulled him as my promo. And I was like, yeah, this is a way I can kind of carry you with me through my first pre-release, because this was my very first event that I went to. I've never done anything before this, so I didn't know what to expect. I was very anxious, nervous, excited, all in one, but it was a way I could kind of carry my father with me. So I had Wolverine, and then the next card that I had in the deck was Beast Erudite Aerialist. He is a 3 colorless and 1 green or blue, depending on the mana that you want to use for him. Because my deck was Gruul, I didn't have any blue in this deck, so didn't really matter. Color restrictions don't really affect limited too much, so you could put him in a Gruul deck. But as long as you put one or more +1/+1 counters on Beast, he has flying, and then whenever he hits a player, you draw a card. So it's great card draw. I played him a few times. He didn't really do too much for me. He just kind of improved my board state, which is what I really needed anyway. But he is a pretty good card, nevertheless. And I do like Beast. He is really cool. Wonder Man, Hollywood Hero, is our next card. And this guy did a lot of work for me. He has flying. Each power-up ability of permanents you control can be activated an additional time. That that text right there significantly improved this deck. Excuse me. I have a lot of creatures in here that needed power-ups, and I used a lot of power-ups in my tournament. I'll get to the results at the end of the video. But this guy was incredible in this deck. Absolutely incredible. He was a 4/4. He's expensive, but he's one of the bigger bodies that you can throw down and, you know, use as a blocker or whatever you need. His power-up is cost 7, 5 colorless, and 2 red mana to put 2 +1/+1 counters on Wonderman. So this was a very stompy deck. It was a +1/+1 counters, power-up, big creature kind of game plan. Again, I had 50 minutes to build this deck, so not every card is going to synergize perfectly. I also didn't really get a lot of good pulls, so I was kind of working with what I got. But this guy, he did a lot of work in the deck. Next creature is Reptile Dinomorpher. This guy saved me in a game specifically. He's a 1-drop, a 1 green mana for a legendary creature human hero. He has Brontosaurus, which is 3 colorless mana, and then until end of turn, he becomes a dinosaur hero with base power and toughness 3/5 and gains vigilance and reach. And then if you pay 6, he turns into a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and until end of turn, he becomes a 6/6 and gains trample. So I did the 6 twice, and that allowed me to win a game and saved me. Very good card for 1 mana especially. I just think he had a lot of good value there. Next was Volcanic Villain. She costs 3 mana and has haste, power up of 6 to put 2 +1/+1 counters on this creature. Now, if you don't know what power up is, it's essentially an ability that says as soon as you play the creature, you can get a reduced cost for your power up. So the power up here is 6. Once I play this creature, she costs 3 mana. But because her power-up costs 6, you do 6 minus 3. What does that give you? That gives you 3. So if you play Volcanic Villain for 3, you can go ahead and pay another 3 to power her up, because 6 minus 3 is 3. So if you... Essentially, you're paying 6 mana in total to cast her, and then get the power-up ability as well on top of that. Again, for +1/+1 counters, because this was a +1/+1 counter strategy. So I was just going heavily into the +1/+1, all that kind of jazz. She did wonders for me. She was a great blocker, just a great creature to have out, because, again, she's getting a lot of +1/+1 utility, along with some other cards in this deck. So she did very well for me. Next is White Tiger Ava Ayala for... I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but she was 2 mana, a colorless and a green, and she also had a power-up ability. So yeah, she was going to put a 1/1 counter on a White Tiger, and then you're going to create a, I think, 4/4 God creature token. Yep. So the power-up, essentially, you're going to cast her for 2, and then 6 minus 2 is 4. You're going to pay another 4 mana right as soon as you cast her to activate her power-up ability to put a 1/1 counter on her and then create that 4/4. I never ended up getting to cast the power-up just because it's very expensive, and I tended to get this card right in my opening hand, which was very unfortunate. But I think if I did get this in my hand later in the game, it would have provided a lot more utility than it did. I do think it was a good card, but again, it works because it's a +1/+1 counter, cheap creature, that I just needed. Yeah, I needed creatures, so I couldn't pass this up. Very good card. Next is Ant-Man's Army for 3 mana, 2 colorless and a green creature that says when this creature enters, create a food or a treasure token. Chances are I casted this and picked treasure because I like mana. I don't know about you guys, but I like casting things. So most of the time, I did use this for the food token just because of my life was... I think my life was at 6. So I casted this, created the food, cracked it to gain 3 life. So I was back at 9, which actually made me win the game. So it saved me for sure. But it's just another good creature that gives you a treasure token. Like, just more mana. Can't pass it up. It's also a 3/2, so it was a good blocker. Next is Knight of Wundagore for 2 mana, colorless, and a green. It is a Cat Knight villain with trample, and it says whenever you put a 1/1 counter on another creature, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. This only happens once per turn. So essentially, this whole deck is 1 encounters, right? I'm going to put a counter here, a counter there, but every time I put a counter on something, it's also going to trigger Knight of Wundagore, and Wundagore is going to get a counter. So every time I was bumping up Volcanic Villain or Wonderman, for example, I was bumping this thing up too. So very good piece. I had 2 in this deck. I ended up pulling 2, so I put 2 in here. It worked wonders. It was great. It was a great blocker. It did damage. It won me games. Just very good card, all in all. Next is Undercover Scroll for 2 mana, a colorless and a green. It is a scroll shapeshifter villain that says as long as there are 2 or more creature cards in your graveyard, this creature gets +2/+2 and is all creature types. And you can tap it for to add 1 mana of any color, essentially. And it is a 1/1. This thing was pretty good as well. My only complaint is I mostly got it in my opening hand. You don't really want this card in your opening hand because it really benefits off of having multiple creatures in your graveyard. Well, if this thing is in your opening hand, you have no creatures in your graveyard, so it doesn't get +2/+2. It's just a 1/1. Yeah, it adds... It's a mana dork, so it's good, but, like, you gotta wait a turn in order to activate that to begin with, so... It's good, it wasn't good in my situation because I was only pulling it early game throughout this whole tournament. But it was still really cool. It is a good card for limited. Yeah. I don't really have much to say about that card. Next is Gorilla. It is a 2 mana, a colorless and a green, ape soldier hero that has reach and says sack this creature, destroy target non-creature artifact or non-creature enchantment, activate only as a sorcery. So it is a 2/2 body that can also be sacrificed to destroy something. It's very good. It did wonders for me in all of my tournaments. It was very good. Next is Stark Industries Executive. I have 2 of these in the deck, so 2 of them. These were kind of just throw-ins. I didn't really have any other creatures that really did my game plan. I had a Misty Knight in there that I figured I probably should have put in. I think that one was like you pay 2 to draw a card, but you have to discard a card or something like that too. I should have probably did that instead, added one of her. It's 1 mana. It's 1 red mana to cast these, and you can pay 2 to tap and create a treasure token. So I was like, okay, it creates treasures, it creates mana. I'm gonna need mana because this is a Gruul deck. You know, it makes sense. Most of the time, though, I will say they were just blockers. They were just very good blockers. I put some artifacts in here that we'll get to, and they just kind of blocked. I didn't tap them ever because I had other things to cast, so I didn't really create the treasures like I thought I would. So maybe next time, this is something I need to think about before including them into the deck. Cards like it, because I really didn't utilize the ability all that much. But it's a really cheap creature that I could cast, so I can't really complain. And then that's all for our creature package. Not too many. I think there was like 13 creatures in total. I wish I pulled more, but I really didn't. It was kind of unfortunate. But I did pretty well in the tournament, so we'll get to that in a little bit. But next is instants, and my first instant is Lightning Strike. This is a 2 mana instant, a colorless and a red that says Lightning Strike deals 3 damage to any target. So again, removal. We want removal in limited, especially. It's very important because you want to destroy your opponent's creatures, especially because it's 1v1. You want to limit your opponent's creatures coming out as much as possible. So this was an auto include in the deck. My next instant was Giant Growth for 1 green. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. This is both an offensive piece and a defensive piece. I used it in both ways throughout the tournament, and I won with this card multiple times. It saved me in a situation. I think I had Wolverine on the battlefield. The opponent had Squirrel Girl. She went to attack. I hit the Giant Growth and killed the Squirrel Girl when I blocked with Wolverine. So, very good card. You can also use it as an offensive card too if you want to just get some extra damage in. It's very good for 1 mana. Next is Super Strength. This is a 4 colorless and 1 green enchantment aura that says enchanted creature gets +4/+4 and has trample in Ward 1. So you put this on a creature, it gives it +4/+4, has trample in Ward 1. This is a finisher in this deck. This thing, once I got this on the battlefield, it was very hard for my opponents to win. Very, very difficult. I used this, I think, 3 times in the whole tournament, and it was a game changer. It was very good in Limited. It's, I think, my most expensive card in the deck, but it was worth it because it gave my creatures an immediate +4/+4, gave them trample and ward, so it was very scary for my opponents to deal with it. It's a very good card. And then I pulled a Primal Vigor. This isn't foil, but it is a borderless treatment enchantment. It costs 4 in a green. That says if 1 or more tokens would be created, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a creature, twice that many would be put on that creature instead. I never actually played this card the whole tournament, actually, because most of my opponents had a lot of tokens that they were generating. Like I said before, I faced a opponent that had a Squirrel Girl, and I did not want to put Primal Vigor down because I knew that it would also give her, or give them, a lot more tokens too. So, you know, this doesn't just affect you, it also affects your opponents. So, got to be very careful when you use this card, but it is very good, and I love the Hulk in Thing treatment. Just, it's so cool. Next is Claim the Kingdom. It is an enchantment plan with 2 mana cost, a colorless and a green, with landfall, and says whenever a land you control enters, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control and a plan counter on this enchantment. When the 4th plan counter is put on the enchantment, sack it, and when you do, put an indestructible counter on target creature you control. Just very good. It's a very good way to get +1/+1 counters on creatures. It's also a good way to get a creature indestructible and make them scary. It's very good. It did everything my deck wanted it to do, and it was an overachiever in this deck. I played it only a few times, but when I did, it made me win the game. It was awesome. But it was also kind of hard to activate or get it to its 4th counter, just because I would either draw a lot of lands before I put this card down, or I would have no lands to play when I had the card down. So it was kind of, I didn't actually utilize its full value until I think 1 game I actually got it to its 4th counter and then gave an indestructible counter on my Wolverine. But other than that, it's just a good way to get counters. But very good for 2 mana. Now this card was an overachiever. This is probably the best card in the deck. It's so good. Avengers Disassembled for 3 mana, a colorless mana, and 2 red. It's a sorcery that says choose one or both. So you can choose both of these. The first one says Avengers Disassembled deals 3 damage to each creature. That includes your own. So it's going to board wipe essentially for 3. And then you get to destroy target land. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. It's a good way to remove your opponent's creatures, breathe a little bit, and then get to destroy one of their land and slow them down by a turn, essentially. Because you get to destroy one of their lands, and then they have to search their library, bring back a land, but it enters tapped, so they can't use it for any instance or anything like that. Very, very, very broken card in Limited. In Commander, I don't think this card's going to be too good, to be honest. But in a 40-card format where it's 1v1, this thing was a lifesaver. I also love the comic treatment. I thought it was really cool. And I played this thing in pretty much every game that I had. I'm telling you, this thing saved me in most of my games. Just very good. Very good. Target player gains... next card is Restorative Technique. This is a 3 mana, 2 colorless, and a green sorcery that says target player gains 2 life, then searches their library for a basic land card, puts it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffles. Put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature. This thing is doing everything we're wanting to do in green. We want to gain life, we want lands, we want mana, right? So we get to gain 2 life, then search our library for a land card. That goes onto the battlefield tap, and then we get a 1/1 counter on a creature. Everything this deck wants to do is in this card. I only got to play it once or twice, but when I did, it was a game changer. Very good. This is a card that I didn't like. It is Call Damage Control. It is 2 mana, colorless, and a green for a sorcery that says choose up to 2, return those cards from your graveyard to your hand. Target artifact card, target creature card, target enchantment card, or target land card. I feel like this is going to be better in Commander, but in a 40 card limited format, by the time I could use this, chances are, anyway, I pulled it in my opening hand or early game, so I didn't have any creatures, artifacts, enchantments, or lands to even bring back. Chances are, every time I casted this, I only brought 1 creature back, and then the other one I didn't get. So I could only get 1 creature every time because of this. It's a good card. It's recursion from graveyard, but like, it just didn't perform for me, and that's okay. It's not going to perform in, you know, every situation or every deck, but my experience with this card was not great. I only got to utilize one of the 2, which wasn't fun. But my next card is Vibranium Energy Daggers. This thing was a overperformer for 1 colorless mana. It's indestructible, and equipped creature gets +2/+2, and it has an equip cost of 3. So it was a very easy turn 1 artifact drop. And then it gives your creature +2/+2. So it's a good way to get beyond like the 4 power, 4 toughness. If you're above 4, chances are it's going to block everything that your opponent plays. Obviously, there's, you know, differences to it, nuances and stuff like that, but for the most part, this card worked beyond what I could even dream it would do. Like, I won many games because of the counters that this thing gave. I think I had a creature that was a 9/9 because I had Vibranium Energy Daggers equipped to it. I had another +2/+2 or something because of its ability. I think it was a scroll in that game. It was nuts. It was nuts. But this card is very good for 1 mana in limited. In Commander, I don't think it's that good, but in a format like this, I think it did very well. Next card is Hawkeye's Bow. For 1 red mana, equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has reach. Again, we want counters. This gave us a counter for 1 mana. Well, technically 2 mana, but with the equip cost and everything. But then whenever equipped creature becomes tapped, it's going to ping someone for 1. Very good card. This card is a part of a 2-card infinite combo. I don't know the other card exactly off the top of my head, but it is a very good artifact. It's very cheap. It did things that I wanted it to do, and then it got to ping my opponent for 1 every time the creature that, you know, this was attached to was tapped. So it was just very good. Now we go to my lands. So I had Surveillance Room for some surveilling, and then Los Diablos Missile Base. These are just the 2 non-basic lands that I pulled, so that's why they're in here. And this is Gruul, so it's perfect for what I needed to do. And then I just have a bunch of forests. I think I had about 9 or so, and then the rest are mountains, just because I had more green spells in here than red. You know, that's going to be all for the video, though. I mean, that was my deck. I was very, very proud of this thing. This deck was incredible. It won me, I think my final score at the end was 2-3. So I won 2, lost 3. It was 2-1 for a while. And I did very well, all, you know, collectively. Especially for my first pre-release. I think this deck really stood the test of time against my opponents, but I wanted to go ahead and share it because I thought it was really cool. It was also my first experience doing this, so it was very cool for me. I wanted to kind of talk about it because I thought it was an incredible deck, all things considered. But again, that's going to be all for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this was kind of long. Thanks for sticking with it, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.